Healing Minds and Souls, a faith-based community dedicated to bringing trauma-informed care to the North Nashville community and surrounding areas through education, resources, and building relationships to develop healthy and a holistic community. Pastor Ella Clay will be talking about how we can stop allowing fear to overtake us regardless of our past, present, or future. Come and learn how to recognize signs and symptoms of trauma as we understand the emotional, physical, social, and spiritual impact of traumas. We will unpack the meanings of vicarious traumas and how to avoid moral injury as we actively avoid re-traumatizing ourselves and others. Let's learn together how to navigate life challenges of grief, trauma, pain, and/or isolation, and discover our innate strengths of courage, kindness, trust, perseverance, and become better equipped to experience a newfound confidence by not letting circumstances define our current existence or future selves. Join our show today with Pastor Ella Clay. She serves as Senior Pastor of the historic First Community Church and Executive Director of Healing Minds and Souls, 1815, Knoll Street, Nashville, Tennessee, 37208.
Good morning. Welcome to Healing Minds and Souls, a trauma-informed care community. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful morning that God has given us. We understand that it's in God that we move, that we breathe, and that we have our very being. We can't do anything without God. We're grateful that we can do all things in Christ Jesus that gives us strength. We'll be right back with you after we hear from our sponsors.
Are you looking to watch some of your favorite family TV shows like The Dick Van Dyke?
The Dick Van Dyke Show. Starring Dick Van Dyke,
Lucy,
The Lucy Show,
The Cosby Show, and more. Look no more. With our service, you can instantly access hundreds of classic family TV shows. Plus, you can watch them anytime and anywhere. We're a business directory with a difference. We help small businesses and ministries advertise their services by highlighting them on our site. Interested in being listed? Find out more at www.nashvillebd.com.
Hello, welcome. We are Crossroads Campus. So happy to have you guys here. I'll take you and show you through. I'm the program director. My name is Eric Davis, and I've been here for about 7 months now. So who we are, we help young adults ages 18 to 24 facing severe poverty and homelessness, and what we do is provide them opportunities to kind of get back on their feet and work back in the community, coming down to our Crossroads campus through our job training program as well as our affordable housing program. So right here is our pet retail store. It's a social enterprise. Our young adults here pretty much help us, they assist us with running the store. So they're learning different universal skills, whether it's working the register, whether it's customer service, whether it's marketing, things
like that. So as part of our job training program, we have 4 areas that we have our interns focus. We have the animal care, so they go through animal skills or animal care. We have a retail skills chart of all the things that they learn while they're in retail. We also have a bakery operation where we go off into an industrial kitchen. They learn food certification services, and they learn how to use the industrial cooking areas. And they make dog treats that are for sale in the store and through other stores in the Nashville area. And we also have our grooming skills chart. So in each of these, we have different skills starting from very beginning in both animal care and grooming. It's learning about animal body language, what to expect, how to work with those animals, how to communicate with those animals. In the retail, it's basic customer service, how to answer the phones, product information, how to use a computer system. So they learn different things that we are hoping that they will be able to use in the rest of their life to create a sustainable living situation for each of the interns that goes through our program.
Here at Crossroads Campus, we are a job training program, an animal care program, an animal adoption program, and an affordable housing unit. Crossroads Pets is the place where we believe that people and animals connect.
The Tennessee Tribune is an African-American newspaper in Nashville, Tennessee. Its circulation is statewide Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Memphis, Tennessee. It was founded in 1991 by Rosetta Irvin Miller Perry. Each week more than 150,000 Tennesseans read the Tennessee Tribune to keep a watchful eye on news and events shaping our community. They turn to the Tribune because it speaks to their needs with language and perspective, which reflects their way of life. Unlike other weeklies that have lost touch with important issues facing today's Black families, the Tribune offers a fresh and encouraging view on people and events that have a positive impact.
I'm Rosetta Miller Perry. I'm the publisher and CEO of the Tennessee Tribune newspaper. I've been in business for over 30 years. I started this business because I felt that the community needed to see information and read about all our wonderful businesses and other individuals in our community that have made positive steps and had positive influences upon our community.
On this morning, we have Mr. Thomas Gooch, who has 2 decades of experience in delivering services to people with drug usage. He was one of the first people in Tennessee to provide outreach, education, and Narcan to active substance abusers, and managed the first underground syringe exchange program in Tennessee for nearly a decade. His advocacy with the state government assisted in legalization and funding of syringe exchange in Tennessee. He has provided training and consultation to programs seeking to serve African Americans and Latin communities throughout the Southeast and U.S. Virgin Islands. He currently serves in the role as an outreach ambassador for Meharry Medical College's Department of Family Medicine's Addiction Clinic, where he oversees a comprehensive system of outreach services to meet complex needs of active substance users at risk for HIV. And he's the executive director of My Father's House, a recovery housing program for men who seek to be more involved in their children's lives following experiences of homelessness or incarceration. As a person living in long-term recovery, he is a tireless advocate to ensure others have opportunities to truly become who they are, and I'll add who God has destined for them to be. Thank you so much, Mr. Gooch, for being here with us on this beautiful morning. You are doing a profound work in the community and surrounding areas, and we are certainly grateful that you're here with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So let's start from this point. You, again, all the work that you're doing is really expansive and it's helping so many people, and it's a much needed work. Mm-hmm. So can you share how you got involved in this work and what was the impetus? What made you become a part of the work that you're doing now? Can you share a little bit about your background?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. It's just like we was brainstorming not too long ago, because like most times when people get in the type of work that I'm doing, they either went to school for it. It's something happened that made them get into it. But what happened to me, man, in early recovery, I was always told when I was in early recovery, and I'm talking about recovery, I'm talking about active addiction. I'm a recovering drug addict, been clean a little over 20 years. And in early recovery, man, I was going to NA meetings. Individuals always said, man, you can get anything you need in a recovery meeting. So I was in an NA meeting, and I was asking individuals in there, I said, listen, I need a job. I just got fired from a job. And it was a guy sitting in there at the time, a guy who I didn't know, and he said, listen, if you go to 520 Sylvan Street, they had some temporary part-time work down there. And so I went down there. I never even heard that word, temporary part-time, like temporary part-time. So like I went to the job, and what come to find out, the job was just doing condom distribution. At that time, the rise of HIV was on an all-time high in African American communities. So what I did at night from 6 to 10 was did condom distribution in the housing projects. all through Nashville. And I thought it was a great job. What happened is that job was temporary part-time. It was only part-time, 4 hours a day. And at the end of the season, the job was over. So the next year I came back and asked that individual, who now I know name was Ron Crowder, who was the founder of Streetworks. And so I asked him to extend the job to make it a full-time job. And he took a chance on making it a full-time job. And then I ended up working there full-time as one of my jobs. But I had another job, but I worked that was one of the jobs that I had. And from that experience and doing that stuff in the community and learning other stuff about HIV, I started liking what it is that I was doing, because I was working in a community at some point that I helped destroy through active addiction, breaking in houses, using drugs, selling drugs, and everything else. Here I am now, a convicted felony, working in these same communities, doing condom distribution, providing HIV testing, hepatitis C testing, housing, treatment. Like, it was just an amazing feeling to feel. And I thought that I could never end it. Probably I'd never want to do nothing like that, but I couldn't have never dreamed that I would be doing something like that. So it kind of like started off, I needed a job, I needed the money, I owed a lot of back paid child support. I was living on my own for the very first time at the age of 34. So I just needed a job. I really wasn't concerned about what the work was. And then it just grew on me. And that's how I ended up starting doing what I'm doing now.
That is so amazing. It's so really interesting how no matter what our experiences may have been, whether they have been challenging, God has a way that he can turn those things around for your good, but not only for your good, but it's for the good of so many, many people. And it's something about when God has his hand on you, we can't escape it, no matter what we do, no matter the choices that we have made. And so I'm just really, really fascinated and really encouraged by the work that you are doing and that you have done. One of the things in your bio, it stated that you were responsible passing out syringes, one of the first people on the scene. So let's talk about that, and also let's talk about condom distribution as well. Because oftentimes when we are Christian people, we have a certain mindset to think that sex is supposed to be in the confinement of marriages. And, we do believe that that's what God's word says. And we believe that God has our best interests at heart is the reason why he puts certain boundaries, right? Because there's so many things that can happen when we're doing things outside of the confinement of what God's will is, what I believe God's will is for us. But the reality of it is that just really doesn't happen in most cases. Maybe in some cases, right? Yeah. Some people have the testimony, but a lot of times it doesn't. People don't wait until marriage. So tell us about the condom distribution and the syringe when you were passing that out, and how even maybe the community looked at you at that point and what your experiences was like.
Yes, that's a good question. And my experience has been different depending on where I was go, wherever I went, because also in my bio it says that we opened up a place in the Virgin Islands. And we didn't really open up a place in the Virgin Islands. We did a collaboration with an agency in the Virgin Islands. And then because of the work that we did down here, they named the place in the Virgin Islands Streetworks Virgin Islands, you know what I'm saying? So, but what happened is when we was doing condom distribution, when I first started doing condom distribution here, I don't even think that there could have been a job that was more fitting and exciting and worth doing than doing that, because I was hanging around in places that I grew up with, and we was having conversations that you normally wouldn't have had, because when we doing condom distribution, you got to be all right with your sexual preference, because you giving condoms to anybody. You trying to have a sexual conversation, and that's how you trying to educate them about HIV. So, because lo and behold, people don't know the spread of HIV happened because people didn't have the education on HIV, or they didn't talk about sex openly, you know what I'm saying? Sure, not the way they talk about it now, you know what I'm saying? So back then when I was doing condom distribution.
And back then, what date was that? Can you give us the date, time frame? So
I was probably doing condom distribution we still do it today, but I was doing it, when I started it, it was probably around 2007. Yeah, it was about around 2007 when I started doing condom distribution in the housing projects. So it was different. You know, you had guys that are always talking about they want this type of condom, they want this type of condom, but it wasn't about giving them a condom. It was about providing a conversation and doing education about a condom, the proper use of a condom. But the difference, what we seen that was different is, although the people that was in Nashville that was excited about accepting the condom, a lot of them wasn't excited about having a full conversation about sex. Younger people was, older people wasn't. Church people didn't want to talk about it at all. Church people act like that we disrespecting them, because we was going to churches trying to have health fairs and community events, but when we bring this conversation up, it wasn't a whole lot of dialogue going back and forth with the church. But, you know, there was some churches to where some pastors made the initiative to be the first one to take a HIV test so his church would follow him. And in those spaces, that happened, you know what I'm saying? But in the churches to where, you know, if the pastor didn't do that, the church didn't do that. And we all know, man, that that's probably be the most difficult thing, challenging that you probably face as a Christian is not to have sex before marriage. I mean, but they try to make it feel so bad or not talk about it at all as if it's not happening at all. And we still try to have these conversations today with the churches. So, but when we was doing condom distribution in the Virgin Islands, they didn't accept it at all. It was like a pure slap in the face, a disrespect to even say that. You know, they almost act like we was trying to talk about them or call them something. And I think it was for two different reasons. For one, we wasn't their culture. We looked like them, but we really wasn't their culture. They could tell we wasn't from that land. So why do we come all the way over here to ask them to participate in something, and we ain't even from over there? And so that was the reasons why that didn't happen. And also Hispanics. Hispanics wouldn't accept condoms from us. What we end up doing to the Hispanic community, we just start creating condom buckets and placing it in the Hispanics, like taco stands, bathrooms, tire shops, barber shops. You know, we just start putting them in places to where they could just go in there and they don't have to have a conversation. The condom is free. You could just grab it and keep it moving. But also we end up having to hire somebody that looked like them for them to have that conversation. So we end up hiring Hispanics, so a Hispanic can have a conversation with an Hispanic. So it was just totally different. Then was the difference between that. Now the syringe exchange back then was totally different than the syringe exchange is today. When Ron Crowder, who was the founder of Streetworks, ran an underground syringe exchange program, he literally in '97 passed out syringes out of the trunk of his car. So that's what he did initially before he ended up getting in the building, getting some funding to operate an underground syringe exchange. In other words, means illegal. They call it underground, and they call it underground everywhere you go, but it's really illegal underground. It's an illegal syringe exchange program. But when you know something needs to be done, you just do it, and you accept the consequence is out of it. So it's the same thing I was saying. You don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness, you know what I'm saying? But when 2017 came, Streetworks had been, and Mr. Crowder had been in front of the syringe exchange, the exchange of syringes. He had been so far out of that movement, the state came to us in 2017 and said, Mr. Gooch, we know that y'all got this under wrap. Could you please sign up for this money that we got to do syringe exchange? And at that time, Megan Barrett's son had passed of an overdose, and she pushed that, you know, and we signed up for it. So we signed up for it, and then I rolled out a real syringe exchange program when I was the prevention director at Streetworks. And then what happened is that we also collaborated with Meharry for the treatment component, and now I'm a full-time employment at Meharry. And because now I'm a full-time employment at Meharry, and I'm the founder and executive director of My Father's House Nashville, when I meet a person right today, I can provide them with every service from point A to Z at the point of contact. And that had never, ever happened before. And people still can't believe it today. When I'm in homeless encampments, because that's what I do daily, my job at Meharry, I'm the manager of the outreach and community engagement. So I'm in the homeless encampment and in the community daily. And when I tell an individual, I said, man, if you want to do something different, I can help you. If you want treatment, I can help you. If you want MAC program, I can help you. If you want detox, I can help you. And they said, well, how can you help me? I said, well, I can get you from here, put you in housing. You know, I got a clothing closet. I clean them up, give them all the hygiene products they need, feed them real good, let them get some rest, take them to Meharry and get them assessment for treatment the next day, bring them back, keep them engaged with other guys that's in the house. And when they say, how you can do that? I said, because I own the houses. So I'm telling you I can get you in the houses. I collaborate with Meharry. So I'm telling you I can get you in treatment. And that had never, ever happened before. And so it's a joy just to be a part of that whole full wide range of programs up under one umbrella.
I tell you what, it is evident that God is using you for God's glory,
Yes.
again, to help humanity. And you have been so very innovative and creative with the type of work that you do. And before I go to this question, though, could you speak, because a lot of people may think that if you're passing out syringes, that you're encouraging drug usage. How would you share with the individual that don't have an understanding of the importance of helping people to be, I guess, I don't know, maybe more careful, or would prevent maybe even a death or passing on diseases? How would you share with an individual that don't understand that what you're doing is to help and not harm, and not to even endorse drug usage? What would you say?
That is a wonderful question. I remember this is a situation that happened to me in early recovery too. I used to go to this NA meeting on Albion. It's right down the street from Mendon Hearts. Mendon Hearts own the whole street now. But when my last day using was right outside of an NA meeting, I had no clue that they was in there trying to get their life together. And it was right outside of an NA meeting. When I got clean, I started going to this meeting. The same person was in this meeting. This is before I even worked for him, and it was Ron Crowder. And when he used to speak about his experience, he was speaking about what he was doing at his job. Like he was in drug houses, providing clean, using supplies, no matter what the supply is. Because I work for an agency that we provide harm reduction. And see, the thing is, I think
What does
people
harm
need.
reduction mean?
Yeah, see, that's what it is. They got to take syringe exchange out the equation, because I do harm reduction, and harm reduction means I'm trying to reduce the harm, no matter what it is. The difference when people think about syringe exchange, and you giving people syringes, or you giving people other clean using utensils. If you use a syringe and then I use a syringe, the spread of HIV continues. The risk of everybody catching HIV that's around us and our sexual partners continues. But when I engage with you and teach you how to be safe using, I'm giving you syringes so you can expose the syringes that you use. If you use syringes with the other individual, you bring the other individual to me and I give them syringes as well. But I'm talking about any using supply. It doesn't make no difference which way you use. Because the thing is, I'm trying to provide you a safe living, a safe way to use until you make a decision to do something else. And I wouldn't have been, when Ron was in that meeting speaking about what he was doing in his day job, I thought it was the most disrespectful thing that he could be doing, because I was in early recovery. And I didn't understand why he was in the streets trying to help those individuals. But somebody helped those, and you wouldn't believe how many people I know today who I've given clean syringes to or other cleaning supplies and say, I remember when I called you and you met me at the gas station and you gave me some clean syringes and I'm still here today.
Wow.
I don't have hepatitis C or I didn't catch HIV. People don't know that, you know what I'm saying? And early in recovery, I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think that those two things can exist in the same place. It means because I'm in recovery, but I do harm reduction. I don't promote using, but I don't promote death. Like if it wasn't nobody in the streets providing these services, and I didn't know about these services when I was using, but if it wasn't nobody in the streets providing these services, the death rates will be high. HIV will be higher, hepatitis C will be higher, homeless will be higher, like all that stuff will be higher. But it's agencies like what I do that is out there in the streets that providing wraparound services for people who want them. But if they don't want them, that don't mean you can turn your back on them. How can you turn your back on just because they don't believe what you believe? Like if they don't want to get clean, they still a human. They still need help. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna help them until they want to do something different. And if they never ever want to do nothing different, I'm gonna still help them.
Wow, that is so powerful. Just so deeply, deeply amazing. And it gives you a different perspective, right? The harm reduction doesn't only help the individual, but it's helping other individuals that people are interacting with.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you for that. So let me ask you this. You do so much. And I'm like, how does this man have time to do all that he's doing? Speak a little bit more about your work at Meharry. And then we want to talk about My Father's House, which is a wonderful organization. And as I said before, it's amazing how God has allowed you to, the full spectrum, the full circle of serving the communities that you serve. And you have just about every program in place to meet their needs of the individuals.
Yeah, yeah. Because Meharry was a spinoff of what I learned while I was at Streetworks, up under the umbrella of Ron Crowder. It's the stuff that he taught me, and then all the trainings that we went through in North Carolina, Texas, Louisiana, like in places where this stuff was already going on, and then they had got in front of the 8-ball and all the other challenges. So so when I came to Meharry, the difference between Meharry is that it's an institute, it's a hospital. Generous Hospital is connected to it. It has its own insurance, so for the uninsured and unhoused individuals, they getting full wraparound services once we get them there on site. So it has its own mental health component. It has its own inpatient treatment. It has its own detox. So it has everything that an individual can need. So what we did is we just now bought a brand new RV, and we wrapped it, and we call it the HOPE program. And HOPE stands for helping other people effectively. And what we do is whatever the person needs, whatever kind of help that they need, and we talking about what they need. We're not talking about what we think they should do, what we think they need. We ain't preaching to these individuals.
That's important.
Yeah, we ain't trying to make these people feel like I understand, and no, I don't want these people to feel like I think that I'm above them. I'm more about me listening to what it is that they asking me that they want, because they might not want none. You'd be surprised how many people that are very comfortable in living in some of those pockets in those spaces that they live in. They don't want to be in a structured environment. They do not want to pay bills. But we're talking about people with mental health problems that's on so many different medications, and we thinking that it's easy to be in that situation or how they adapt to that environment. They don't have no family, so they dealing with a whole lot of situations. But while I'm working at Meharry, because we dealing with case management and all these other resources, we can provide just about everything an individual need on his RV, and if we can't provide it on his RV, we'll take them to the facilities that where we can provide it. So that's the reason why being at Meharry is so great. Like Dr. Cooper get it, like they literally get it, like what you really, what the city really needs. How, and when we talking about helping people, we talking about keeping crime rate down and everything. Because once we prevent these individuals from doing some of the things that they do, to use drugs or to even maintain unhoused. It's a job to maintain unhoused. A lot of people have no clue on what tent city look like. I've taken a guy down there before, man, his name Dr. Stephen Lord, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind me telling you this story. And he's the chairman of the opiate abatement money. And I took him to the encampment one day, and man, he cried down there. He cried. He couldn't believe like how people was living down there. And there was these two kids in a car, and the car wouldn't start, and we all the way in the back of this encampment. And he said, man, why you think they down here? I said, man, it could be any reason. When we left, he called me. He said, Thomas, I'm about to go get a battery some booster cable so I can get him a boost. I said, yeah, hold up, man, let me meet you down there. He said, no, I'm all right. I said, hey, doctor, I don't know what you think this is. I don't know what you think this is, but you're in a Tesla. This is a homeless encampment. Yeah, man, and you don't look like the community down
Right.
here. But he was so sad about what he seen. He literally went back down there, fed them kids, boosted their car, and got them out of that encampment.
Wow.
But a lot of people don't know that type of living go on. I got a nurse that work with me now. She just became on board in Meharry, and when I took her down there, I said, "Have you ever done this type of work before?" She said, "Absolutely not." And I said, "A whole lot of people haven't. A whole lot of people don't know what go on behind there, and they got them hid off the street so good that you couldn't see them. But people don't know the struggles that those individuals live. So when you say how God used you, I think about when I got clean in 2003, and I took a 6-year sentence, and when I was on my way back to my cell, I promise you, this is not no joke. I said, "God, you could have just took my life." Like, I was so distraught. I just did 2 years. I was out 89 days, got locked right back up, got 6 years. That was the first time that I didn't want to live. And that's exactly what I said when they gave me 6 years. I said, "God, you could have just took my life." And it took me about 4 or 5 years in recovery to realize that God did exactly that.
My God.
He took my life, but it wasn't physical. He took it and done something else with it.
My God.
And that's why I've been doing what I've been doing for
Oh,
the
my
last
goodness.
15, 16 years.
How
Yeah,
powerful.
it was amazing, but it took a while for me to realize that.
Took your life and gave you a totally brand new
Yeah,
life.
something totally, like, he didn't give me my life back, he gave me a different life. I wouldn't have wanted my life back, you know, so, but yeah, it's been amazing. It's an amazing job.
Let me ask you this. So how you had shared so authentically that you substance abuse. And so I just wonder, as you stated too, that it's not for us to tell a person how they should live because we don't know the circumstances they've had to deal with. And what I have found out, if you sit down and talk to people, it's a miracle oftentimes they're still here, considering all of the things that they've had to deal with in life. So I think I have 2 questions for you. So the first question is, what do you think made the difference in your life? Why do you think that some people are able to find sobriety or even desire sobriety? Because you have to desire it, right? Because what I understand, using drugs can be an enjoyable thing because it's appealing to the flesh and it's giving you what you need. It elevates you, so you think it's elevating you out of the situation, right? But oftentimes it's even a deeper despair. So that's one of my questions. What do you think makes the difference? Why is it that some people desire sobriety and then maybe others, I don't know if they desire it or not, but they're not able to come to their place? And then the second question I have is that, what do you think that we can do as a community to help people that are in the circumstances and situations that they're in?
The sobriety question, to me, I do believe it's to each his own. When it comes to me, I was raised by a single mom, and I had a strange relationship with my mom. My mom would have never ever knew it. She never ever knew it. My mama never knew how I felt about her, because I had a yearning for my mom, that to be loved, to be held. Like, my mom, listen, I don't think that it was a closer person to God than my mom. With anything that ever happened to me, I used to tell my mama to pray for me. This is when I got older. But what I wanted from my mom as a child, I never got. And the holding, the hugging. My mama was going to church all the time. Like, she brought us up in church. We was at church every day. When I was young, I couldn't wait to stop going to church. Like, I used to say it. I said, man, I can't wait to stop doing this. That's why when I came in this church, I said, ooh, this reminds me of Mount Pisgah. You know what I'm saying? Because we was in church all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because this is an original church here. Like, you could tell the whole setup. When I walked through this door, that's what I felt like, a kid. And I couldn't wait to stop going to church. And but my mom was in church so much that at a young age, I resented God. I couldn't believe that he took my mom.
Wow.
Like, she gone all the time. Like, I used to always think, where do the other people who know my mom, what do they think her kids at? Because we not at all these programs that she was doing, we not there. Like, what do they think we was at home? We was at home fighting for ourselves, you know what I'm saying, feeding ourselves. because my mama was where she thought that she was supposed to be, work or church. It was either one of the two, man. And I was a promiscuous kid, so I did a whole lot of stuff, stealing, and I was everywhere, you know what I'm saying? But my mama did one of the most important things my mama did for me in my life, besides giving me birth, is she introduced me to God. And the relationship, because she sent me there, and because I knew that using was never fun to me. I always felt guilty when I was getting high, because my mama told me something different than that, you know what I'm saying? And the crazy part about it, my sister got shot by playing with a gun in a house, and my dad introduced drugs to my mama, and she became an addict. He was an addict, she became an addict, and then I ended up using. You know what I'm saying? And so this was a trickle effect. And so, but I still felt the presence of God while I was using. So I was back and forth in jail, and I had kids, and I was back and forth in jail, out of their life, in the streets. And so when I only went to treatment one time in 2003. I'm not an individual that went back and forth and used and back and forth, none of that. I went to treatment one time, and when the program showed me something different, I was ready for something different. You know, but what happened is I was around individuals that continue to show me something different.
What did the program show you that you got sometimes that other people don't get?
I swear I don't think it's nothing that nobody else don't get, because the program don't show you nothing no different than what your mama, your grandmama, the community, because I grew up where your neighbors whooped you, your uncles and them, your big brother, like all that happened. And that's what the program did. It just re-taught me what it is that I already knew, and just slowed me down with some guidance from some people who was doing this before me. You know what I'm saying? And when and because somebody walked me through that, that's what I think. I think the most important thing about recovery is if somebody walking you through this, as opposed to telling you this is what it is that you need to do.
So community is important for a person to keep their sobriety. Yeah,
like they continue to keep you engaged, you know what I'm saying? Because I believe everybody wants something different. When you use and you finally get away from using, I believe you excited. I believe that you grateful. I believe that you want something different. But so many people find so many other reasons to reuse, and I haven't. And when I say I haven't, my dad died since I've been clean. My mom died just a couple of years ago since I've been clean. My wife passed 5 years ago. I had 2 kids by her. She passed 5 years ago. 2 years later than that, my other daughter, mama, passed from this disease. I've been fired from about 4 or 5 jobs since I've been clean. At 10 years clean, when I separated from my wife, I was homeless at 10 years clean. But wasn't none of them reasons good enough for me to go back to addiction, because none of that felt worse than how I felt when I was using. So I just kept on doing what I needed to do, putting one foot in front of the other, because I believed in a better outcome. And then I knew God had already did some amazing stuff at this spot, and it couldn't have been nothing but God that made that possible. So I said, nah, I'm gonna hold on up, and I held on up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So trauma, how do you think that trauma is related to drug addiction, or if you think that it is traumatic experience in your life?
Yeah, yeah.
And you kind of alluded to the fact that your mother, she was in church, and you needed that nurturing, right? You needed that compassion. And so, whereas I don't know if there was like a traumatic experience for you because you needed that emotional stability.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, how is it that trauma may be related or even impactful as it relates to drug addiction? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. You have to, and also the NA program tell you sometimes we have to seek outside help. In early recovery, people was against that, even in the program. Even though the reading says that, they thought that you can get everything in the NA program. But also that program says that we don't have all the answers to all the problems in the world. I don't think there's no one-all, be-all. You can go here and everything you're going to get. Because I always say this too. I said, man, I grew up in the church. Like, I literally grew up in the church. But I didn't participate in church like I participated in the NA meeting. Like, the way I participated in this NA program, I never gave church the same shot. Like, so So when some people said I tried church, I don't know how you could try church. You know what I'm saying? I always been against that, like, because they say that and then they said I tried church. Well, I don't know how you tried it. You know what I'm saying? Because I never. So, but it ain't the same participation that I give to the NA program. But I need church, and I need this NA program. Like, I still go to church. I'm a member at Friendship Baptist Church up under the leadership of Pastor Frank Smith, Frank Stevenson.
Okay.
So that's where I attend church at on Sundays. And I was telling Pastor this too. I said, man, I've been to church a whole lot of times, but I never participated the way I participate in church now. I was going to church because it was just, I knew that's where I needed to be. It feed my spirit. But now I participate in church. I look forward to going to church. I take my kids to church, you know what I'm saying? So it's different. But I know that trauma is a place that you really have to go address. And just in an NA program or AA program, that might not be sufficient. That might not be enough. It's some help, but you literally need to address that specifically with someone else that's not trying to push 12 steps down your throat to fix this problem, because that might not fix this.
And you can't shout over it either,
No,
right?
no.
And you said some church, right? So it's a difference between church and God. So church is the facility, it's the place where we gather, right? To receive empowerment, to receive encouragement, to hear the word of God. But it's when you go out is when the work has to start.
Absolutely.
So you come to church to seek God, because ultimately that's what's going to take care of whatever it is that we're dealing with.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's talk about My Father's House and how that came to be and how you were able to birth that and why you even saw that there was a need for an organization such as My Father's House. Let's talk about what that is.
Yes, absolutely. Well, My Father's House, when I was in recovery, I probably had about 4 or 5 years in recovery, and I was sponsored by a guy who owned a program called Grace House, and it was a men's recovery house. My Father's House was not on my agenda. It was not something that I wanted to do. It was not part of my recovery goal. So when they said, write down in the next 5 years what it is that you want to do, my mind was so small about what it is that I wanted to do in the next 5 years. And so owning my own business and stuff like that was not on it. Being married, having more kids, wasn't none of that on it. When I got clean, I had already had 4 kids, you know, so I just wanted to be a better father to the 4 kids that I already had. I just wanted to work. I wanted to finally live on my own. And so that's exactly what I wanted to do. Well, I got a good friend that I met while my sponsor was passing. My sponsor died of stage 4 cancer. And the day that my sponsor died, I was in his room, and this other guy was sitting in his room. It was a white guy. And my sponsor told me, he said, Gooch, I want to introduce you to Sam. Sam, I want to introduce you to Gooch. And that's all he said. And he said, Sam, that's my sponsee. Gooch, that's my best friend. And my sponsor died. Like, he left that house, went to the hospital, and he died that day. And but what he did is he introduced me to one of the most important individuals that I know in my life today, because that guy was Sam McMaster. And
Shout
what
out
happened?
To Sam McMaster.
Yeah,
What
shout out to
amazing
Sam
individual.
McMaster, man. So,
yes, indeed.
So about 6 months after my sponsor died, I bumped into Sam, and Sam said, you know, we had lunch and stuff, and he said, man, what you got going on? And I was working somewhere, and he said, have you ever thought about working for yourself? I said, no, man, I ain't got time for that, man. I'm paying all this back pay child support, and I'm paying all my bills because I live by myself. It's the first time I've been totally responsible for myself. I'm trying to rebuild these relationships with my kids because I've been out of their lives. And so we left at lunch, and probably about 6 months to a year, we was having lunch again. And at this time, I had a son who was the logo on here. I had him, and he was about 3 years old, and his mama got 17 years in prison. And I ended up getting full custody of him. And my life changed. And I would like to say it changed for the best at that time, but I was really disappointed because I'm so selfish that I didn't think that I was capable or ready to be raising a child by myself. I lived by myself, and now I have been given this 3-year-old son, because his mama is going to prison. And I had no experience in raising no kids. I told you I had 4 kids before I had him, and I had no experience on raising kids. And so every day, man, this little dude sitting in the house, he 3. So I had to take him to daycare because I go to work. Then when I get off from work, I pick him up. And then I had to bathe him, feed him, and then get him ready for bed. And we do this every single day, you know what I'm saying? And then I end up getting in a relationship. I end up getting married. And then my wife have a child. A child I still don't want because I don't want no more kids. I'm still trying to mend this relationships with these first 4 kids. And now I got this little dude that, you know, mama's in prison, you know what I'm saying? And because she didn't have no kids, she was connected to him. And so, and then she get pregnant, and then I end up with a daughter. And then Sam said, have you came up with something now? And I said, no, man. Like, I'm mad. Literally, I'm mad because I'm in a different space. I wasn't looking for none of this, you know what I'm saying? And while I was walking away, I said, yeah, I came up with something. I can open up a recovery house for dads in recovery. Because when I was in recovery, they didn't have no programs for men that can still have a relationship with their kid while they transitioning in recovery. Kind of like the Mending Hard program, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mirrored what my program would be. Yeah, I can do that. I can be the male version of that, you know what I'm saying? And he said, and Sam did this. He said, yeah, and you can call it my father's house. Wow. I said, I sure can. and so when we started doing the work about it, I found out that there was another program that's called My Father's House, which was a church, and they took in whole families. So we ended up adding Nashville. So it's called My Father's House Nashville, and we don't take whole families. And that was in Oregon. That ain't down here. That program was in Oregon. And because at that time I had a lot of experience with the child support system, taking him back and forth to the hospital, dental records, and everything else. See, this was a plan. I didn't have a clue, you know what I'm saying? And then after we wrote that and we started unrolling what My Father's House would look like, we seen that it was a bigger need than just dads in recovery. Men of color was having challenges getting out of jails and prisons, trying to figure out where they was gonna go. So we started accepting them. People couldn't get out of treatment, or people couldn't get in houses if they didn't have no money. So we started accepting them. The homeless population that we work with, who people turn their back on, couldn't get nowhere, couldn't even get a hand up, put their feet on the ground. We started helping them. Sex offenders could make parole today and stay in prison for a year because they ain't got no place to go. So we end up having a house for them. Wow. So we just started seeing that it was a need for housing for men, period.
How many houses do you have?
4.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 different locations, 37 beds, 5 indigent beds, 3 respite beds. And indigent beds means a person come here, they don't have a dime, and you help them until they get on their feet. Respite beds is for a person who's currently using, but you're trying to get them into treatment. So they still need the same type of help. So we put them in our bed, we provide everything that they need until we can get them into treatment. So we built a couple of relationships with several different treatment facilities that'll hold a bed for us so we can get them into treatment.
What if someone needed your type of services? How could they contact you? Can you share your information on how they could reach out to you?
Yes.
The process?
Yeah, it's a few ways. They can go to www.myfathershousenashville.org, which is our website. It'll tell you everything. They can also call me at 615-319-5579, or they can call Ron Siskey at 615-335-3076. But if they go to our website, it'll tell them everything. It'll tell them what we've been doing for the 11 years that we've been in existence, which is an amazing thing because for the first 9 years, we never even had a fundraiser. We sustained our program without raising money, any state or government funding for 9 years, which is a story within itself because most nonprofits fold if they don't have no federal or state funding. We did 10 years before we put this gala on just last year, which we finna put on our second annual gala on December the 7th of this year. So we've been pretty good, and then we've been having God on our side, and
Yes.
because He know the work that we doing,
Yes.
we helping His people. So He just sustained the program, a program that's needed. So
Wow.
it's an amazing feeling every day to go do this type of work, especially when I didn't see this coming. I remember my mama told me this before my mama passed, and I've had plenty of conversations when I in recovery with my mom, things that I wanted to know all along when I got clean. Man, my mom used to have these conversations, and my mama asked me one day, she said, did you ever think that you would be doing what you doing? And I hollered, no way, there's no way possible I could have ever imagined that I'd be doing what I was doing, coming where I came from. I grew up at 51B University Court, where the grass don't grow. How could I have thought that I've been working for Meharry? I don't have a bachelor's degree. Everybody, the majority of people over there got a bachelor's degree. It's God took the worst part of my life and made it the best thing that I could ever share with an individual. So how could I have thought that I'd have been working there? How could I have thought that I'd have been a business owner, the founder and the executive director of my own agency? But all I do is tell my story and share my life with other individuals. Because you can't even get that mixed up. I'm continue to tell you how terrible it was, what I turned to make it better, and what I do all day, every day to sustain it. Yeah, I couldn't have made that up. You couldn't have wrote that story.
Couldn't have written it for ourselves. I'm just reminded of so many scriptures to come to mind, that I know the thoughts and the plans I think towards you, and that they plans to prosper you, to give you a hope, a future, and expected end. That's certainly what God has done to you in your life. He has taken the things, and with all of our lives, right? When we allow God to do that. As you said, when you decided that you wanted to give up your old life and you traded it for the life that God has for you. It's just so profound. I think also about the scripture that says, and this is the work that you're doing, it says that when you lend to the poor, when you give to the poor, you're lending to God, and that God will repay you. You stated how that you have funding, you have never been without, and you probably will never ever be without because of the work that you're doing. And so we certainly commend you. We certainly respect you, we honor you, and we're so grateful for how you continue to be an advocate on behalf of humanity. Are there any final remarks that you would like to share to our audience, whether you want to give them encouragement? Is there anything you want to leave us with?
Pretty much. Thank you for allowing me to come on this wonderful podcast. I had this marked on my calendar. I couldn't wait to come. Your name come up so often in the work that I do, because of the work that you do in the community. If anybody know anybody who needs some help, male or female, my program is strictly for males. I do have resources and referrals for females. But if you know any man that needs some help, no matter what their situation is, reach out to My Father's House Nashville. Check out the website. Look at the work that we've been doing for over 11 years. And we don't do this job or this work to get rich. I am rich,
That's
not
right.
in money, man. I'm highly excited about the work that I do. Like, when they say that if you love what you do, it's never work.
Yes.
Man, I can't. When I get up in the morning, I can't wait to do
Wow.
what I do
Passion.
every day. My kids know what I do. All my kids know what I do. The relationships that I talked about with my 4 older kids, I'm like heroes to my older kids. I was just texting my older kids some old pictures that I got that I sent to them when I was in early recovery, because I take pictures of everything. I've been able to do some things that I never thought that I would be able to do in my life. Like take my whole family to Florida, to Disney, where I took my mama. I'm gonna share this story with y'all. And my mom been passed for 2 years, and I think I told you this story. And I remember my mama telling me, she wrote a note when they found my mama unresponsive. She wrote this note, and she just gave me a whole lot of instructions on what she wanted me to do for the remaining of my family. Now check this out. When I told you that I wanted a different type of relationship with my mama when I was young, I didn't get it. I got it when I was grown. You know what I'm saying? She gave me everything that I needed when I was grown. But I long my heart longed for it back then. But all the instructions that she gave me in this letter, if I'd have listened to the letter, a whole lot of things that me and my mom was able to do would have never happened. Because my mama told me to tell the doctors to not keep her on this machine. She said, tell them to pull the plug, that I already lived a good life and I already asked God permission to take me. And I didn't listen to her. I said, nah, I don't care nothing about all that. Selfish, didn't care nothing about that. And I kept her around here. And because I kept her around here, I ended up learning so much about my family, about what my mama didn't have, why my mama was the way she was. And then I understood why I ended up being who I am. Because I'm just like my mama. The stuff that I thought that my mama, that I was mad about, I turned out to be the exact same person, but just a male version of it. So I'm glad that I ignored that because I learned more. And I don't think people would have no clue on what or how a person's life can change. Like they don't have a clue is when you're given the opportunity of what can really happen for you, the things that you can really happen for you, the places that you can really go, and more important, the lives that you can impact and change. Because, and I don't say this to be bragging, but I know that I live a great life that I don't deserve. If I got what I deserve, it wouldn't be here on this podcast. It wouldn't be living the quality of life that I got. The place that I live, the things that I'm able to do for my kids, like I've been able to parent in 3 different generations. My oldest child is 33 and my youngest child is 4. I got 9 kids. I've been able to parent it in 3 different generations. Wow. And it's been different every chance. And the kids that I didn't want, that God gave me anyway, it's the kids that mold me to be the Thomas Gooch that I am today. So that's why you can't be asking for no specifics when you asking God for stuff, because you never know what God wants for you. My father's house wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for the last 5 kids that I have. They the one taught me how to be Thomas, how to be a dad, how to be a man, how to show up, how to go to sports events, how to go to graduations, how to be the only father in your class, in your kids' class. My daughter be telling me, Daddy, don't get in here and embarrass me. Embarrass you? How many other dads you see in here? You mad because I'm excited about being at your school? Yeah, it's different. It's a different thing because my dad didn't show up like that. He didn't show up like that, man. So if you need help, if you know any men that need help, please reach out to my father's house, Nashville, and let us see if we can help individuals as best we can. We can't help everybody. We don't have all the answers to all the questions in the world, but we will do our best.
Wow. I tell you what, I think about the steps of a good man or woman are ordered by the Lord. And it says that God delights in their ways. And so every step, although it may not have been a perfect step, but you are certainly a living testimony of how every step has been ordered by the Lord. Thank you again, Mr. Gooch, for being here. We're going to have to bring you back again. Yeah. Thank you for what you're doing, and continue to stay strong in the Lord and the power of God's might. Thank you for being with us on today. We look forward to seeing you again on next week. May the Lord God bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May God be merciful unto you and continue to give you peace. Thank you so much.